There are 12 of them. 12 stadiums built all over Europe, designed by extremely bold architects and built by thousands of workers and engineers. 12 gigantic stadiums selected for the 2020 Euro Football Cup and among the most spectacular arenas in the world. You are about to embark on an unprecedented European tour to discover the continent's most beautiful stadiums. In this episode, St. Petersburg Gazprom Arena in Russia versus Baku Olympic Stadium in Azerbaijan. On one side, the flying saucer-looking stadium that took 10 years to build. It has a retractable roof and field and is home to one of Europe's greatest clubs, Zenit St. Petersburg.
This stadium is absolutely fantastic. It has amazing acoustics. When I get on the field, I feel like I'm walking into a huge theatre.
On the other side, a venue that has already hosted the greatest Euro finals. Its architecture was inspired by 12th century towers. It can resist gale force winds and the most powerful earthquakes. And it was built in barely 2 years.
Baku Olympic Stadium is the biggest stadium in the Caucasian region. 68,000 people capacity. Considering the amount of the elements, I can say that the timing was the biggest challenge.
Get ready for a showdown between two stadiums situated at the crossroads between Europe and Asia. Two of the world's most modern sports venues. Our journey starts on the shores of the Gulf of Finland, on the Baltic Sea, where the city of St. Petersburg lies imposingly. Dubbed the Venice of the North, it was founded in 1703 at the swampy mouth of the Neva River. Nowadays, with a population of 5 million, it is Russia's second biggest city after Moscow. St. Petersburg used to have two stadiums. The first one was the Petrovsky Stadium, located on the island that has the same name. This old venue with a capacity of 22,000 was built in 1925, and for several decades it hosted Zenit St. Petersburg matches. The other one was the Kirov Stadium, situated under 4 kilometers away on an island barely 3 square kilometers in area, surrounded by the arms of the Neva, Krestovsky Island. It was inaugurated in 1950 and could seat up to 110,000 people. The city council chose the old Kirov Stadium site for the construction of a super modern stadium for the local club to play. It was named Gazprom Arena. The venue came out of the imagination of Japanese architect Kisho Kurokawa, who died in 2007, but is considered one of the world's greatest architects ever. His most striking projects include the Nakagin Capsule Tower, the National Art Center in Tokyo, and above all, the Oita Stadium built for the 2002 World Cup. Equipped with the biggest retractable roof in Japan, this stadium was dubbed the Big Eye because of its extraordinary design. Back then, Kisho Kurokawa was already demonstrating incredible originality and the capacity to find inspiration where least expected. And the shape of St. Petersburg Gazprom Arena is one more testimony to the architect's inventiveness. His idea was to make this stadium look like a flying saucer. The shape of the stadium, its roof, windows, stairs, everything was carefully thought up so the venue would look exactly like a UFO from another planet. Yuji Imayo was a member of the team that designed the stadium under Kishu Kurogawa's orders.
First of all, it's a round stadium, whereas most soccer stadiums are oval or rectangular. Only this time, Kurokawa gave the venue the shape of a perfect circle, which forms the basis for its spacecraft appearance. Then the windows are also very special. I remember Kurokawa corrected my sketches several times. He kept saying I'd probably never seen the windows of a UFO. Finally, there are the stairs. They're now fixed, but we initially wanted them to be retractable, so they would look like spacecraft doors coming down to allow the crew out. The day after our project was presented, the local newspapers reported on their front pages that a UFO was going to land in St. Petersburg. We hadn't told anyone that we had designed it after a spacecraft. We hoped people would find it out by themselves. And in fact, that's exactly what happened. So for us, it was a fantastic achievement. I think that wherever he is now, Kurokawa is watching us in his spacecraft, and he's very happy indeed. And I think he's profoundly grateful to all of us.
Although a round stadium was extremely unusual back then, another one sprang up not long ago. It is situated 3,000 kilometers southeast of St. Petersburg in a country that straddles over the border between Europe and Asia, Azerbaijan. In Baku, this capital city of 2 million people, was inaugurated in 2015 the Olympic Stadium, bang in the heart of the city's new districts. This venue has a unique design, and it's now one of the country's most modern architectural gems. Baku Olympic Stadium was designed by Harim Architects, a prestigious Korean company. Their goal was to instill in this new edifice traces of the country's glorious past, as well as symbols of the city. Because Baku, situated on the shores of the Caspian Sea, was mostly known up until then for its medieval city, walls, minarets, and grandiose palaces.
When we designed the biggest stadium in Azerbaijan, we thought about what would be the inspiration. It should represent the country. So we thought about what would be the image coming from.
If you're wondering what their main source of inspiration was, here it is: the Maiden Tower. This 30-meter tall edifice built in the 12th century is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and one of the city's emblems, famous worldwide. The stadium was designed in a perfectly cylindrical shape, like the Maiden Tower. Its facade was then created in the same spirit as the 12th century towers, the walls of which are made of alternating rows of jutting out gray limestone rocks and set back gypsum plaster. Thanks to this structure, The tower looks like it's composed of black and white stripes. This very principle was reproduced at the stadium. But instead of keeping the rectangular brick shape, the architects decided to use diamond-shaped panels.
The diamond pattern also is a symbol of fire. The Azerbaijan is famous for land of fire. So we thought about both images. One is brick pattern of the maiden tower, and the two is the fire pattern of the country's symbol.
The access ramps are a reference to another emblem of Azerbaijan, the Palace of the Shaki Khans. Situated in the north of the country, 300 kilometers from Baku, this palace was, in the 18th century, the summer residence of the Khans, supreme rulers of the ancient feudal state in the Caucasus. Famous the world over for the colors of its facades and stained glass, it has windows called shabaka, made from fragments of glass and wood assembled without glue or nails. The pattern of these windows inspired the architects for the access ramps to the stadium. There are 3 of them, leading into the venue in the center. They're like the wooden axes that cross the glass circle in the stained glass windows of the Palace of the Shaki Khans. So the stadiums of Baku and St. Petersburg are 2 rare examples of perfectly round stadiums. Their original designs make them absolutely unique works of architecture. But one of them has a special feature that the other doesn't. The Gazprom Arena's retractable roof, which took years to make. Because a stadium in the heart of the Venice of the North, this fabulous city, had to resist the extreme weather conditions of the far north. Here in winter, temperatures frequently drop below minus 20 degrees Celsius, and snow and winds are everywhere. Therefore, the stadium was equipped with a retractable roof. Thanks to this see-through dome 150 meters in diameter, the venue can be used in any weather. Nikolai Ergorenko is the stadium technical director. He's taking us inside the roof structure where the opening mechanism of this gigantic dome is located.
We're at the highest point, right under the retractable roof, which in fact is made up of 2 parts. We've opened the roof for the first time today since the end of the long winter season. We're now running some tests to make sure everything is working properly. It takes about 20 to 40 minutes for the roof to open completely.
The dome is made up of 4 distinct parts. 2 of them are immobile, and the 2 others slide over rails powered by electric carriages. In total, 28 carriages are necessary to open and close the 2 mobile parts of the roof. This ingenious mechanism allows temperatures to be kept at 15 degrees Celsius inside the venue, regardless of the weather conditions outside.
To keep the temperature inside the stadium at 15 degrees Celsius, we use the same method as in big airports, a ventilation system that blows warm air inside it.
The dome was also specially designed to bear the weight of snow in winter and to prevent it from building up on the roof. It is made of a thermoplastic called ETFE, which is lighter and much cheaper than glass, but also extremely resistant. This material is often used in the construction of megastadiums.
Она сделана не из пластика, она сделана из специальной мембраны.
The dome is like a see-through membrane. The mobile part is composed of two separate layers that form a pressurized chamber. Compressed air is injected into this chamber and the roof inflates a bit like a balloon. Besides, the spherical shape prevents the build-up of snow on the dome as the wind blows it down the flat surface. However, if some snow does settle on parts of the roof, it eventually melts. The hot air inside the venue rises and reaches the dome. The dome isn't insulated, so it gets heated, which causes the snow to melt.
But this retractable roof mechanism forced the architects and engineers to innovate because this 71,000 square meter top is heavy, very heavy. The round roof and its see-through dome weigh 15,000 tons. The metal structure that supports them weighs 26,000 tons, the weight of 4 Eiffel Towers. To support it all, placing pillars inside the venue was ruled out at once, as this would restrict spectators' views. So the designers resorted to a technique commonly used to build cable-stayed bridges. They placed 8 pylons that go through the roof of the stadium. Each pylon is equipped with cables at the top, which absorb part of the load. In addition, there are 2 huge metal beams and 4 massive concrete pillars that also bear part of the load. Inside the stadium, the huge beams can be easily spotted right under the retractable roof. We can also identify the 8 pylons that come down from above the stands and pierce into the ground. But neither the massive beams nor the pylons obstruct the view of spectators, not even for those watching the match from the very top. The idea of pylons like those at cable-stayed bridges didn't come from nowhere. Kurokawa had already employed this mechanism in a previous project, the Toyota Stadium.
It is the same system that he used for the Toyota Stadium near Nagoya. But that one only has 4 pylons, whereas St. Petersburg Stadium has 8. Technically, it would have been easier to make them inclined outwards. But Kurokawa wanted all the masts to point up to the sky. The local engineers asked us many times to turn them outwards, but we said no. That's how we managed to get this appearance in the end.
Thanks to this architectural feat, the roof is somehow dissociated from the rest of the stadium. It looks almost like the roof is floating in the air. One more aspect that gives the ensemble the appearance of a flying saucer, as the architect wanted. Here in St. Petersburg, builders and engineers had to find solutions to materialize what the Japanese architect had imagined. In Baku, on the other hand, the challenge was different, ensuring the stability of the edifice. The first problem was the site chosen by the authorities to build the stadium is on the edge of Lake Boyukshor. The upside is it's between the international airport and the city center. So it's easy to get to for both locals and visitors from all over the world. The construction of the stadium was part of a vast project to rehabilitate the lake area, which for a long time had been exploited by the mining and oil industries. to such an extent that it seemed almost impossible to build such a huge stadium at this precise location.
The area where the stadium sits was really challenging in terms of quality of the soil, because this area is mainly used for oil extraction. This is why we can consider the area as a lake. And the stadium is built on a liquid soil, which was one of the biggest challenges for the construction activities. The design of the foundation required so much attention.
Besides its location near the lake and the poor quality of the ground, the site is situated in an area that's exposed to very violent winds. Worse still, it is classified as a seismic zone. In the event of an earthquake, the seismic waves can produce what's called lifting forces. In other words, the stadium might simply be torn off the ground by the intensity of the earthquake. To make sure the venue would withstand such forces, the engineers opted for a special foundation system, mostly used for high-rises. Concrete piles with steel reinforcement. Three or four piles are usually enough to ensure the stability of the building, but in this case, they decided to bring out the big guns.
To avoid any structural challenge, 2,500 tension piles were built before the construction of the stadium itself. 800 of them are built for the ramps and the traffic ring, and 1,700 of tension piles were built directly below the stadium itself. And these tension piles were 1.2 meter diameter and 35 meter depth. During the construction of the foundation, we trimmed the tension piles up to the ground level.
Once the 2,500 piles had been finalized, the site on which the stadium would rise was covered with several 3-meter-thick layers. First, a layer of gravel, then concrete, followed by an insulating plastic film and a waterproofing fabric called geotextile. And finally, another concrete screed covering the whole lot. To finish, the stadium was constructed around a superstructure made of 60 concrete mega-pillars, which allows Baku Olympic Stadium to withstand winds and earthquakes. But the engineers faced another challenge. The stadium had to be inaugurated in 2015 for the first Euro matches. And construction works could only start in 2013. They had barely 2 years to build this venue, a massive challenge.
The limited time forced us to plan the activities in one time, and we considered the deadline of the project as a rule. We had to use the resources in the most effective way possible, including manpower, including the manufacturing of the items, including the design activities. The construction activities started with 8 million cubic meter backfilling and excavation activities. Following this, the concrete works started. 360,000 cubic meter concrete were casted at site.
To meet the deadline, the construction site was divided into 8 identical zones, allowing several teams to work at the same time and speed up the works. All the elements that make up the steel structure were prefabricated in Turkey.
In order to expedite the progress, 55,000 tons of steel structure were manufactured in a factory in Adana, Ceyhan, Turkey, and shipped to Baku, Azerbaijan, and installed at site. It was constructed by 600 welders and a big team in site. The quantities for every structural element were measured. Considering the amount of the elements, every item, I can say that the timing was the biggest challenge.
In each zone of the construction site, as the concrete stands started to take shape, the supporting steel structures were assembled one by one, ready to be installed at the building. First, the vertical elements, placed along the 60 concrete megapillars. Then, the roof structure to cover the venue. Every piece was hoisted up by huge cranes capable of transporting over 1,200 tons of steel. Each element of the roof structure was then attached to the tops of the concrete megapillars and then connected to the next element. Thanks to this perfectly managed setup, the 28,000 square meter roof was completed in exactly 210 days. The whole venue, roof included, was then clad with ETFE, the same material used for the dome of Gazprom Arena that allows light into the stadium.
The facade is designed with 2 layers of ETFE. There was LED lighting inside of the ETFE, and the facade can be used as LED screen. 28,000 square meter roof and 36,000 square meter of facade activities are completed in 24 months. By working 7 days, 24 hours, by sticking on the planning schedule in the beginning, we managed to finalize with no revision of the plan dates, with no extension. We finalized everything on time.
The Baku Olympic Stadium, with its 68,000 seats, was then inaugurated on March the 6th, 2015, 3 months before the Euro kickoff.
Welcome, everyone, to the land of fire. Welcome to Azerbaijan.
The whole world watched the opening ceremony of the Euros at Baku Olympic Stadium. Over 200 TV channels broadcast the event. And we were obviously extremely proud of the compliments to the stadium from every country in the world. To me, this is really a magnificent venue. And it was world-class quality construction. I'm sure that in the future, many major sports events will be held here. You know, we visited numerous European stadiums before launching construction. And our stadium really does have a unique design which evokes a torch and fire. It means a lot to us that this stadium represents these symbols of our history.
An exceptional stadium and an exceptional project. If construction works in Baku were completed in barely 26 months, in St. Petersburg, much more time was required. In total, it took 11 years to build the Gazprom Arena. Its total cost exceeded €1 billion, making it one of the most expensive stadiums in history. One of the many amazing innovations designed for this awesome arena involves a key component of a soccer stadium, the field. The entire field, 120 meters long and 80 meters wide, can be pulled out of the venue and placed in an outdoor area built in exactly the same size as the field. This extremely complex operation requires a 2-day preparation and is only carried out on very rare occasions.
As our stadium has a sliding roof, we don't have to remove the field very often. Only when we organize non-sports events, such as concerts or any other events that gather a very large public on the field. In this case, we can't allow people onto the field, or it would get damaged. So we move it outside to preserve it.
The field is moved through a mechanism made up of several traction modules, which propels this huge 6,000-ton structure. Each module has 2 drive wheels on 1-meter diameter tires, which move at the speed of 5 centimeters per second.
All the modules are equipped with an electric engine, and they're all synchronized, so the removal is as smooth as possible. Altogether, there are 16 modules at the front and 16 at the back.
But moving such a structure entails a significant pressure at the contact points between wheels and ground. There again, it was imperative to be inventive.
To relieve the weight on the wheels, the engineers devised an air cushion mechanism. When the field starts moving, the cushion is activated and lifts the field, which relieves the weight on the wheels. This reduces the wear of the wheels and also allows us to move the field without the risk of damaging the structure.
This air cushion mechanism is made of 36 injection modules. They're installed at the front and the back of the field and are equipped with high-pressure fans. The fans inject 22 cubic meters of air per second into an airtight chamber that occupies the entire area under the field. In 30 minutes, this chamber fills up and offsets almost the entire weight supported by the traction module drive wheels. Through sensors located around the structure, a centralized monitoring system ensures the pressure inside the chamber remains uniform throughout the removal process. The whole structure then slides effortlessly outside, albeit at a very low speed. It takes on average 4 hours for the field to reach its place. One of the most critical aspects of this extraordinary mechanism is the 80-meter wide empty space created at the end of the field to allow the field to get through. The weight of the stand sits over it, whereas no pillar could support this load.
This aspect of the stadium is truly unique. It's a bit as though we were standing under a concrete bridge that must bear a massive load. Right above us is the fan zone. And of course, the fans are constantly stomping and moving about. That's why we installed a monitoring system that measures the deformation of the structure during a match.
The case of the Gazprom arena stands shows that modern mega-stadium structures must resist very strong conditions. In Baku, due to the risk of seismic activity, the venue is equipped with a state-of-the-art earthquake detection system. The latest massive earthquake that struck Azerbaijan occurred on November the 25th, 2000. It reached 6.8 on the Richter magnitude scale, and its epicenter was near the shore, in the Caspian Sea, only 25 kilometers southeast of Baku city center. It claimed some 30 lives and caused damage to over 90 buildings in the city. The authorities then decided not to take any risks with the stadium. Seismic wave sensors were installed all around the venue to detect the slightest ground motion and immediately send the information to the control center situated inside the stadium.
We have one magic box here. This is the earthquake warning system. It's located here. In our warning system, this information comes with the difference in 8 seconds. That is to say, if the epicenter of the earthquake is located 120 kilometers away from the stadium, we will get this information to this box within 24 seconds. And after 24 seconds, the system is triggered, the alarm's information comes to the public announcement system, and at the same time, the general shutdown can happen, the generators start to work, the electricity gets the command to move to generator process, the gas system also goes off.
It is from this heavily guarded room that all the systems in the stadium are managed. Heating, lighting, CCTV, and even watering. Welcome to an entirely connected stadium, a soccer stadium 3.0. Since it was inaugurated in 2015, this ultra-modern venue has come to symbolize a new Azerbaijan, open onto the world and the future. Every minute detail was calculated to impress visitors from all over the world.
The inspiration in total is like a philosophy of all the stadium, nice lines, comfortable atmosphere, everything in bright colors and comfortable colors for everyone. And design is a mix of past and future, as well the idea of the stadium. Every single room here reflects the total philosophy of design for this stadium. Besides of our stadium is the home venue for a national football team. We are a multifunctional center which hosts different types of events, beginning from very small events like parties and birthdays and ending with large-scale events, which has importance for all the country. And of course, this makes us proud that we can create this atmosphere. We try to show high level of service we organize for everyone, for VIP guests, for fans, for journalists, for players, for sportsmen and athletes. The capacity of the stadium is 68,700, and this makes us the biggest stadium in the region. We have 126 skyboxes for VIP and CIP guests, and we have 6 floors of tribunes available for everyone.
The Baku and St. Petersburg stadiums are 2 perfect examples of what stadiums should be like in the future. Forget about those old sports venues that were only about fields and stands. Nowadays, a stadium must offer the public utmost comfort. Yuri Fedotov is security manager at the Gazprom arena. He's showing us around one of the most secret places in the venue. Nobody from the stands is allowed in here.
We're inside the presidential skybox. This is for us the most important place in the whole stadium. This skybox was specially constructed for VIPs that come here to watch a match, particularly heads of state.
которые посещают спортивные мероприятия, в том числе для первых лиц государства.
Given that everyone who comes in here has a security service, additional measures were taken to guarantee their utmost security in the venue.
Предусматриваются дополнительные меры безопасности. для нахождения этих лиц непосредственно на стадионе.
Their entire movement around the stadium was planned in such a way that they don't have to cross any other spectators on their way to the skybox.
С другими категориями болельщиков. Соответствующим образом,
They have a reserved entrance to the stadium and separate elevators.
Система отдельная лифтовая.
And of course, very specific evacuation measures were put in place.
Другие меры эвакуационного характера, которые
From the very beginning of the construction,
на каждом спортивном.
one of the main tasks was to study the construction of the skybox in association with the police force and special security services. The project was designed to its smallest details under their supervision.
Со стороны силовых структур, безусловно, правоохранительных органов в первую очередь.
But regardless of the quality of the skyboxes, of everything that goes on behind the scenes, and of the technologies that modernize these 21st century stadiums, the key place in a stadium around which everything must be designed is right here, the field. This is where the real show unfolds, where the heroes of the stadium meet. And here, in the north of Russia, in order to guarantee quality playing, the turf receives very special attention. In the local weather conditions, and given the design of the stadium, an entirely natural turf would be far too vulnerable. Tatiana Makarova is the agronomist in charge of the stadium's turf.
The conditions here are extremely difficult because the roof is closed and the sunlight doesn't get through very well. So the club had to buy an extra lighting system that operates over the field 24/7 to offset the absence of sunlight. Besides, as it's a closed building, air circulation is also difficult. So we have 16 fans at our disposal to make sure the grass grows in good environmental conditions.
But the real secret of the stadium's field lies elsewhere, underneath the field itself. Natural and synthetic grass.
This system is key. First of all, soccer players prefer to play on natural grass, and they don't get injured as often as on entirely artificial grass. So we use a hybrid system. Synthetic elements beneath the grass stabilize the upper part. At the top, it's natural. It's a new way to grow grass.
The grass is so important for the quality of a soccer game and the show the fans expect to see that it gave rise to a veritable grass science. It all starts where ground and field meet. First, polystyrene foam with insulating and waterproofing properties insulates the field and prevents frost. Then, canals are installed in furrows dug in the foam to heat the field and prevent mold. After that, a mixture of sand and gravel is laid down to form the basis of a synthetic substratum. It's a kind of compost that provides ideal oxygenation conditions for the grass. Next, there's a support composed of synthetic threads sewn over a cotton fabric, which again is covered with the same substratum. That's where the natural grass seeds will be sowed. The stadium grass is therefore a mixture of natural grass and synthetic fibers.
This grass is a bit like family to me. As soon as I get to the stadium, I run to the field to see how it's doing. I like to touch it. And then I think if it needs heating a bit, or if it needs some water. The grass comes first. In fact, it's the most valuable thing in this stadium. I'm really proud of it. The whole club is.
Since it opened in April 2017, the stadium has already hosted several international matches, most particularly the 2018 World Cup. The quality of this venue is a source of pride for the people of St. Petersburg and Russia.
This place means a lot to the city. It was the first sports facility of the kind built in St. Petersburg in a very long time, or even in all the Russian Federation. For soccer fans, and indeed city residents, it's a new site. A new stadium like this one boosts the development of the whole area and its public transport system. Of course, it's a soccer stadium, but in fact, it boosts several other business sectors.
The atmosphere for the players is now completely different compared to our old stadium. The fans are really great here. They're constantly encouraging their teams, which of course is very important for the players. They're even more motivated to win. Also, the grass is fantastic, so the game is extremely fast. And the players love to play soccer in these conditions. You know, I was born in St. Petersburg. I'm proud to live in this city and to have such an excellent stadium. In my opinion, it's the best one in the world.
The stadium is absolutely fantastic. It has amazing acoustics. You can hear the fans very well, which is very important for a team. Every player that walks in here to play is overwhelmed with the support. Of course, I feel proud when I get on the field. I feel like I'm in a huge theatre.
Both in St. Petersburg and in Baku, the new stadiums have become city emblems.
The Olympic Stadium is the first venue you can see from the plane. And of course, on night, it's lighted up. We have always these requests from foreigners, from tourists. Upon their arrival, they call us and they say that we saw your stadium from the plane, we would like to come. And this is a very nice sign for us because we are the modern attractive in Baku and like one of the symbols of sport for the country. The stadium looks just amazing and very impressive. I know that it's impossible not to see the stadium whenever the road you cross because it connects all big roads together and located in the very heart of this connection. Every single seat there has its own history and memories from the past events, and sometimes I even can hear the voices of fans happy welcoming their favorite team or a favorite event.
Since they opened, Baku Olympic Stadium and Gazprom Arena have hosted dozens of international events. In just a few years, these two venues have joined the list of their country's heritage sites.